We're finally here. It's been a while. I know. I'm very, very, very late on this. Better late than never, doing a little bit of a catch up with BTS, if you will. I also plan to watch their run episodes. Very excited to that, but that's going to be later on. Today's a big filming day. I'm getting a lot of filming out of the way today, so I can stockpile videos because in my final semester. So probably not going to have as much time to film, especially this week. It's quite an intense week. So I decided, why not? Let's film like 6 videos in one day. That's going to be fun. That's going to go great, obviously. But no, we're starting with Jack in the Box. I was supposed to film this a while ago, actually, but life happened and there was a lot of Stray Kids stuff going on. So it kind of resulted in Jack in the Box being pushed further and further, but we're finally here. And I decided to make this the very first video we're going to start with. I'm tired of waiting. I'm very into listening to new music right now. I've been listening to a lot of new music this week. I listened to Mamamoo Stray Kids' album recently as well. Um, Oh, not only Mamu's title track, but also I did a bit of a catch up with them as well. So I've been listening to a lot of new music. It's good, Nice to see where my faves are right now, what they're doing. Also did a BTS catch up as well. Not me forgetting that. Listen, Rush Hour, she's a bop. No, she's a bop. Crush and J-Hope really did that. And now we're finally here to listen to Man Solo. Now, Hope World is probably one of my favorite BTS solo projects, and I'm a little nostalgic for it because it came out when, I was new to BTS. That was, yeah, it's kind of funny that so many people waited years for that to drop, and I just had to wait a few months after being into them for a while. Fake Love was my first comeback. 2018 BTS in general just makes me very nostalgic, and Hope World forms part of that nostalgia. Really enjoyed that project. My favorite song was Airplane. I was a big fan of Airplane. Really liked Hang Sang, and why do I always forget the song? The short one that is a bop. Why? It starts with a B, I'm pretty sure. I always forget it and I hate it because I actually really like that song, but I never remember the name for some reason. Anyway, yeah, those are some of my favorite songs from that album. And I have listened to Arson and More. I will say I do like Arson more than More. Not gonna lie, I was a big fan of Arson. My best friend has listened to this album. She has a lot of feelings, and she's been waiting for me to listen to it so we can finally discuss it. I've heard good things about, I think, Pandora's Box and Safety Zone, if I'm remembering correctly. I think those are the songs she really enjoyed. So looking forward to those songs on the album. But hopefully I've gotten all the songs. I'm gonna be so upset if I miss something. Going to be so mad. Anyways, long intro aside, we're gonna start with the intro visualizer. I decided to do the visualizer for this one just because it's the introduction, and I don't think there's going to be much going on. Maybe he will speak or rap or sing. Hopefully not, because I don't think there are any, lyrics and whatnot, and I don't understand Korean. So, but yeah, usually the intro does kind of set the tone. So hopefully I don't miss anything too important. But I will say, with the discussions and More and Arson, I think I'm always a fan of like darker J-Hope. I think that aesthetic really suits him. I've been saying this since Boy Meets Evil because I think that's when it really hit me that, yeah, dark J-Hope is a vibe. The angsty emo J-Hope is a vibe. So if that's kind of the energy we're going to get in this album, I'm not mad at it. I'm really not mad at it. And I said this when I was listening to Maxident, but in Stray Kids, I'm a really big fan of narratives in albums. I'm not saying an album necessarily has to be narrative for me to enjoy it, but I do really like trying to piece together a story where I can, if there is one to piece together, obviously. And I'm not, after this, I obviously have to listen to the album in full, including Arson and More, because if there is a narrative, I'm interested to see where they fit in this album. But yeah, I think now that's everything out of the way. We're gonna start with the intro visualizer. Let's get into it. Three, two, one. Okay, glitching television.
What Zeus had kept inside the box broke loose from their confinement.
We're getting, girl, I was really into Greek mythology in high school. I am. Are we? Is this actually gonna? Is this just gonna be a Pandora's box of an album? That's kind of fucked up though, because it's all the bad things. Maybe it's that. Maybe he's going to discuss all the bad in the world. Maybe in himself, in his music. Because again, we did get a lot of angst in Arson and More. I don't know. Okay, this is interesting already.
What Zeus had kept inside the box broke loose from their confinement. All that was foul was now unleashed upon the
Yep.
world,
Except
and
Hope.
Pandora, unable to undo
That's
what
a
she had done,
cool
fell into
picture.
despair. As she grieved, she heard a feeble quiver from the box. She lifted the lid once more, and out
Oh,
popped
cute. I
Jacob.
Hope. J Hope. That's actually quite cute. Maybe he's the Hope in the box. Jack in the box. Is he gonna? Oh, whoa, wait, whoa. Okay, I'm having many realizations here right now. You can like see it happening on my face. Okay, so if we're continuing with the law of Pandora's box, right? I'm assuming everyone is most. I'm assuming a good number of people are familiar with the story. If not, even this is quite like giving you the Spark Notes version of it. Okay, so is he going to be the hope in the box? Okay, that's actually quite a sweet. Oh no, that's so cute. That's so cute. So he's going to be the hope in Jack in the
From the
box. So
box,
he's the hope.
she lifted the
Whoa.
lid once more, and out
I'm
fluttered a
quite
small,
impressed already
bright,
with this. Holy
most
shit.
beautiful creature she had ever seen. It flapped its delicate wings as it danced around Pandora, lightly brushing against her shoulder. Pandora immediately felt her angst melt away, and her heart glow with warmth. It was hope that was kept in the innermost nook of the box.
That's so
It trailed behind the miasma of
endearing.
darkness, assuaging their ill effects on humankind. Hope gave people the will to carry on living amidst the pain and
He needs to
strife.
stop. That is so endearing. That is so cute. I thought we were gonna get like a more dark album because of the Pandora's box, but I don't even know why that didn't click. It was Hope. His name is J Hope. I don't know why it took me so long to realize what he was going for with that. So so maybe that's why it's so angsty, because the darkness has to come first, right? Before the hope can, you know, what's the right word? Not wash it away necessarily. I guess help diminish at least some part of that darkness, you know? That is so, this would be J Hope, right? This is his brand. He would be the one to do something like that. But this is really cool. Okay, if this is setting the tone for the album, I am very excited now. I was already hyped, but again, this really appealed to both the BTS stand in me and the Greek mythology stand in me, so I'm extra excited now. So, first proper song on the album, let's fucking do it. I am looking at a lyric video because I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and last time I checked, the visualizers didn't have English lyrics. Excuse me, wow. Didn't have English lyrics, so I was like, I do want to know what J-Hope is talking about. So yeah, that's why we're here. Starting off with Pandora's Box. Very excited. Predictions for this, maybe? I think this is going to start off with the darkness. Like, I think this is going to be a very dark song off the jump. Because if we're going with the narrative that was kind of maybe hinted at in the intro, obviously, I don't know, I haven't listened to the album yet, but hinted at in the intro, I'm going to guess that the beginning is probably going to be like a lot of wow, dark, cringe. I can't speak. Dark grunge sounds. That's what I was trying to articulate. Jesus Christ. Dark grungy sounds. And then it's maybe going to go into something lighter as we progress throughout the album. Maybe I'm gonna be wrong. I don't know. Maybe it'll be just darkness, just hype songs, just lighthearted music, you know. But anyways, enough talking. Let's get into it. So I'm kind of sick, so excuse any like sniffling and stuff. I don't know. I just woke up with a mild cold today. Anyways, let's get into it. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Ooh, okay, drums. That was very intense. He didn't need to do all of that. Like, that was a very intense way to start this off. Okay, cool. He's also been loving his drums this album, I see. Well, if Pandora's Box, Arson, and more, I need to go by.
They call me hope. Do you know I'm hope? 판도라의 history 그게 내 born 인간에게 주어진 큰 신들의 소신 판도라가 남긴 상자 속의 한빛 때묻이 하는 소년의 기대 어디에 방탄의 희망이 dread on the frame 그렇게 주어진
That's listen, okay, this is already kind of, it's again, I think this song already is kind of a delicate balance between the darkness and the light, because there's a light I want to talk about. Yeah, put the boy in the box that Pandora left behind without a trace of light. Like, that's a very dark line. Like, that's a very dark line. And then he says he went on to become like the framework for BTS's Hope, which is fucking accurate. My man's spitting facts. Ooh, that flow, listen. You better go off, J-Ho. I really like this. Hey. Ooh. Ooh, okay, I can see why my friend was very excited for this song. Okay, I'm less than a minute in, and I think so far this is like my favorite song so far. Out of the three I've heard, this is strong contender for my favorite so far. Holy shit. Oh my way, hey, this little kind of almost jazzy section of the song, you better go with it.
Someone's life, someone's mind, someone's hope. 내 활동들은 someone's life.
Yeah. He's this kind of reminds me of was it in where he does something similar where he uses that same kind of structure where he's like someone's this, someone's this, someone's this, someone's this. I think it was it in I can't remember. I think so. I don't know. That line just reminded me so much of his verse, and I think it was
Someone's life, someone's mind, someone's hope. 내 활동들은 someone's life. 시간은 이름대로 흘러가. Someone's star. 내 영혼이 다듬어지면 생기는 모토와 vibe. Yeah. 그렇게 제출해내 이력서 비로소 첫도야 콧물 필요했던.
Listen, I know, I would like to hope we all have taste and we all be giving J-Hope his flowers with the flows, but it's just every time he really just slaps me in the face.
Someone's mind, someone's hope. 내 활동들은 someone's life. 시간은 이름대로 흘러가. Someone's star. 내 영혼이 다듬어지면 생기는 모토와 vibe. Yeah. 그렇게 제출해내 이력서 비로소 첫도야 콧물 필요했던 필연성 계속 발전을 꿈꿔. What's my path? What do I have to say? Just keep on doing my thing.
Ooh, these little kind of more subdued sections of this. Ooh, J-Hope, this is just the first song. You can't come out like this.
계속 발전을 꿈꿔. What's my path? What do I have to say? Just keep on doing my thing. 내가 green 문제수가 green 유무이 큰 그림인 거. 나를 불러들인 주인의 호심. 이건 마치 판도라의 운명적인 criminal. 그래 겪어보니 세상이 보여. 인간을 끓게 하는 수만 가지의 고열. 욕심, 시기, 원한, 전투, 또 미움. 어쩌면 the reason we need hope. 그게 많지만 겪은 우린 길어 걸어도 무섭지 않은 벤자민 버튼. 앞장서 조금이나마 느낄 수 있다면 깨워주고 파각자 숨은 작은 영웅을 이상가는 우물한 속 flow.
This is one of my favorite lines in the song. This section actually is probably my favorite of the song. Just like, hold on. I really like this. Not this popping up in the middle of me getting into J-Hope. Anyways,
We need hope. 그게 많지만 겪은 우린 길어 걸어도 무섭지 않은 벤자민 버튼. 앞장서 조금이나마 느낄 수 있다면 깨워주고.
I want to remind you about the little heroes hidden inside each one. No, but why is he being so sweet for? Like, for what? Like, what is he gaining from hurting my feelings like this? That is so sweet. That is so, I mean, it's his brand, but like, that is such a sweet line.
We need hope. 그게 많지만 겪은 우린 길어 걸어도 무섭지 않은 벤자민 버튼. 앞장서 조금이나마 느낄 수 있다면 깨워주고. 하각자 숨은 작은 영웅을 이상가는 5분 앞속 flow 그 세상 밖으로 좀 재앙을 마주해도 부딪히고 싶어 Jack in the box look at my title 여러분 다 이제 믿어보는
As you should, King. Ooh.
Drag to the hole, down to the hemang, drag in the bar.
Hey, like, again, the subdued section of the song, girl. Are we going again?
Drag to the hole, down to the hemang, drag in the balls. Pandora의 soul, 하나 남은 희망, drag in the balls. Drag to the hole, down to the hemang, drag in the balls. Pandora의 soul, 하나 남은 희망, drag in the balls. Move with the drum with this hot shit. Boy, it's unboxing. Let's go.
I can see why this is one of my friend's favorite songs on this album. Yeah, this is my favorite song out of the three I've heard, easily. Like, I love the Arson, she's still a queen, but Pandora's Box, girl, and it was so sweet for what, honestly, I was there was obviously discussions of the more negative parts of the world, but I think it was just that, I think it was more conversation-based and not him really, how do I put this? He was bringing attention to the fact that there's negativity in the world, right? But I think the song was more focused on, you know, him being the hope in the world, but also that there is just in general hope in the world when it comes to all the shitty parts of, you know, life. Like he said, greed, envy, revenge, hate. I think those were a few of the, you know, more negative parts of just the human experience that he described. But he was like, hey, you know, I'm one of the more, or I would like to be one of the more hopeful people out there, and especially, you know, J-Hope's whole thing is just like wanting to bring and spread that light to other people as well. And he's like, you know, it's not just me. Again, that I really loved that line where he was like, I'm paraphrasing now because I can't remember the exact wording, where he was like, hey, you know, there's a little hero, a little hopeful person inside all of us. That was very sweet for no reason. That was so cute. It's one of my favorite lines in this song. Holy shit. But this was the beat in this also, it was kind of giving old schooly American hip-hop. I'm not well versed in American hip-hop, so I'm not going to pretend to know exactly which era, but I want to say kind of 90s-ish, maybe early 2000s. The kind of gritty, heavy, bass heavy beat that he used here. I don't have anything bad to say about this song. Like, this is a great song. This is a great, like, starter to your album. And yeah, I think it, hopefully, again, this is J-Hope, he can do what he wants, but maybe this will also, this kind of add a bit more clarity to where we might go discussion wise in the album, because based on this, it seems like this album is going to be a lot more light than I anticipated, especially lyrically. I do think maybe the instrumentals will be more on the gritty side, but the content of the songs themselves might be more lighthearted. But I could be wrong. I guess this is J-Hope. This man does what he wants. So the next song is Stop. I don't think I really have much to say. I'm just kind of intrigued right now. That's how I feel about this album so far. Yeah, I really don't have anything else to say. I'm just very excited to hear the rest of the album. Let's get into it. 3, 2, 1. Again, very old school-ish sound, I would say, from the instrumentals alone.
내 친구에 대해 같이 관한 성격 나를 매우 정자연대해 좋게 좋게 말해도 너무 드는 리액션 바쁘는 건 내 쪽 애써 감추려 했어 Stop, 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 stop
Okay.
Stop, stop, don't fight, fight, fight,
Okay.
fight, fight,
I'm in this.
믿고 약속하지만 한 번 더 생각을 해 어떻게 다 비슷하고 어떻게 다 똑같아 본질은 바뀔 순 없어 이제가 be myself 단 한 털의 믿음이 널 지배해
I mean, they are bad people in the world. There are some people that are just terrible people. I think we can acknowledge that.
그래도 뉴스는 바보와 스타일
I just really want to say, holy shit! I haven't even like paused, and I the only time I really said anything was with that. There's no bad people in the world. That I kind of get what he means because it's also about perspective, right? What you may consider bad would not necessarily. It doesn't mean that it's objectively bad, right? And there are different ways people go about and live their lives that aren't necessarily wrong. There's some shit that's just bad though. Like I genuinely think that there is some shit that is just awful. Also, I did a philosophy course this year about ethics and morality, and that's been in my brain more recently. Some shit's just bad, guys. Like it's okay to say it. Some shit is just awful, and there's no roundabout way. There's no, there's no. I don't know if pacifist is the right word. There's no nice way. There's no kind way to say it. Some shit is just awful, and that's okay. Like we can just admit it's awful. But no, okay. That aside, I don't know. That really just inspired conversation. But I just wanna. This is a bop. The discourse in this one is also quite intriguing, and already out the gate, I had some thoughts about the lyrics.
Right. 인생계에서 내 친구에 대해 가치관 성격 가린 내 우정자에 대해 좋게 좋게 말해도 의문 드는 리액션 바쁘는 건 내 쪽 애써 감추려 했어.
I mean, again, these instrumentals that this man is using in this album, fire. Hey, hey.
믿고 약속하지만 한 번 더 생각을 해 어떻게 다 비슷하고 어떻게 다 똑같아 본질은 바뀔 순 없어 이제가 be myself 단한 털의 믿음이 널 지배해 그래도 뉴스는 바보와서 달리 criminal 정말 사람이 저래 짐승보다 못한 인간들의 행위
Same.
더럽더라고 심하게 말해 사람 새끼인가 싶더라고
Same.
나도
But actually, I think we need to stop doing this thing where we act as though people who do terrible things aren't human, because they are. I think a lot of people do it because they want to separate themselves from the awfulness that humans are capable of. But I don't know. I especially more recently, I've been thinking about that, and I don't know. I'm just not a fan of saying that something is inhumane because a human did that. Like it's completely. A person literally did that. You can't say they are a human being. They're an awful one, but they're still a person. And I think this trying to separate other people from people who do terrible things, just I don't know, something about it just rubs me the wrong way. I'm not saying everyone is gonna be like a serial killer or or harm children or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't like that separating of other people from people who do awful things, because we have quite literally seen so many examples of human beings doing awful things. Again, I don't know. This song is inspiring a lot of thoughts from me, apparently. But I still do get that impulse. Like I get that impulse to be like, that's not a person, or that person's being animalistic, or they're being inhuman. Like I get it, because I'm not acting as though I've never jumped to those impulses as well. But it's a thought that I think it's kind of come to my mind. Maybe this was just getting older or whatever in more recent years, where I've been about people trying to do that separateness between awful people and just like the standard human being.
뉴스는 바보와서 달리 criminal 정말 사람이 저래 짐승보다 못한 인간들의 행위 참 더럽더라고 심하게 말해 사람 새끼인가 싶더라고 나도 wait stop calm down 그래 이건 원초적으로 돌아가 다시 그들을 봐 살아온 환경 교육 시스템 나와 다른 부분은 무엇인가
Oh, interesting. Okay, come on, J-Hope. This man's really just. Am I just gonna finally have use for my bachelor's degree? Because again, these conversations and stuff, they're ones that aren't only unique to obviously academic discourse. I think this is discourse people are engaging all the time, online, in person, in the news, everyday conversation about like what makes someone, or what results in someone being awful, right? Like what, the whole classic nature versus nurture argument, and how much environment plays into the kinds of people we become. Okay, all right, J-Hope, come. Okay, you're appealing to the former psych student in me. Let's go. Hey, whoa. Oh, this is interesting audio that he's chosen to incorporate. Oh, this song is. The jam got spicy on this one. Okay.
요즘은 스마트한 세상보다 스마트한 그 대번 분노에 비대면 회담이 생긴 시간 문제야 무안전한 areas so too many virus 무의식적인 오염 나도 피할 수 없는 거야 Stop, 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 stop Change our minds, 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 minds 인과 법칙에 의하여 세상에 나온 우리 그릇한들 일체 유심조 우리가 만드는 거지 작은 시작이 큰 발걸음 이게 세상 은변에 나쁜 사람은 어디에 is right
Yeah, y'all know my feelings on that idea. My man got very philosophical on this one. Holy shit. I think, even though I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the points J-Hope makes in the song, I do appreciate the song alone for the discourse that it inspires. Ooh, okay. This is a very strong album. Like, I really like Stop and Pandora's Box. I don't know if I put Stop or but would I put Stop? I really like this song. And I think a huge part of that is just because of the ideas and the discourse and just the thoughts in me that it's inspired. Maybe Stop is taking the crown low key. I don't know. Maybe it's also just because it's the most recent, the newer song I've heard, so to speak. So my brain is like, oh, we like this one. Let's make it our favorite. But I think right now it's Stop, Pandora's Box, Arson, and More. That's the current rough ranking that I have. Ooh, there's a lot to talk about, and I did do a good amount of just unpacking my feelings. Obviously, they're just mine. I don't pretend to know everything, and the human experience is an incredibly subjective thing. I don't think there's a one objective way to look at just being a person. But yeah, I think J-Hope is a very optimistic person. I think we have obviously seen him get cynical and kind of darker, if you will, in his music, but also just him as a person and the discussions he's engaged in. But I would argue, from what we've seen, again, I don't know J-Hope, I can only go off what he chooses to show the world. He seems to be quite an optimistic person, and I think this song is kind of a reflection of that. And maybe I'm overly cynical. I've been called a very jaded person before, so maybe I'm just too jaded. But I do think the song kind of expresses that optimism that he tends to have, especially the iconic "there are no bad people" line, and a lot of the times it is about perspective. And I don't disagree with the point that yes, perspective should play a part in how we evaluate people and their actions and all of that, but I also do think that there's some people actions that are just terrible. I know a lot of people say, oh, there's no such thing as a bad person, only bad actions. But if a person repeatedly engages in bad actions, I think you can call them a bad person. I don't know, call me overly simplistic, but I think that's a fair assessment to make, a fair opinion to have about someone. And yeah, there was just so much. I mean, I don't disagree with the points he makes towards the end, and I think this is especially with the Earth dying. There's a lot of discourse about what you as an individual can do to slow that, because there's no stopping it, and there's also a lot of cynicism, right? Because you're like, what can you as the individual realistically do? Like, you have so many corporations and even other human beings engaging in so many harmful environmental practices where it's like, what it's hard sometimes to be like, oh, what I'm doing is helpful, or it's contributing, or it's actually making a significant difference. And that's something, I'm not gonna lie, I find myself struggling with a lot, where I'm like, what's even the point, right? Because there's so much already significantly contributing to the Earth's death right now, and that has contributed to the Earth's death. What can I realistically do to stop that? What, I don't use plastics anymore? Wow, how groundbreaking, right? What does one person not use? Well, not one. There's a lot of other people out there that don't use plastic or try and minimize their plastic use. Maybe that is helping. But yeah, I do find myself specifically wrestling with those kinds of cynical thoughts about what I can and can't and am not doing to be more environmentally friendly. But yeah, girl, okay, yeah, I for the discourse alone, and it's about, listen, I was getting very into it. The song is also quite like hype, even for the conversation it's having. And I think J-Hope's kind of proved me right with the first two songs, where I was like, I think content wise it's going to be more dense. There's going to be a lot going on, but the instrumentals are going to be more like upbeat, gritty. Like even the song again, just because of my opinions, kind of tended to be on the more jaded side compared to J-Hope's. But I think his lyrics here were even quite optimistic. Him being like, "There are no bad people. Perspective should be paramount when trying to evaluate other people's actions and the people that they are." You know, even his little touching on environmentalism towards the end of the song. It's quite a hopeful song. I just think my opinions lend themselves to be on the more jaded side of things. But yeah, is this the favorite? Is a strong contender for the favorite right now. I had so many feelings and thoughts and opinions about Stop, and I don't know if I've really engaged with a song like that in a long time. Like, I think the music I've been listening to more recently, even though, as I said in the intro, I have been listening to more music, has kind of been more lighthearted, like with Stray Kids and Mamamoo. And Stray Kids kind of intentionally made their more recent album mostly lighthearted. I think there are some darker, more discourse heavy friendly songs, but I would say overall the album's called Maxident is more on the light-hearted side. I think maybe Chill and Taste, in my opinion, have more to talk about around them, but I think the other songs not as much. You could also make an argument, I guess, for Three Racha as well. Anyways, but yeah, I think I'm enjoying having that kind of discourse around music, because I do like talking about the conversations within songs. I said it earlier, I'm a big fan of narrative albums. I don't think albums necessarily need to have a narrative, but I do like them when they do. I do like songs that inspire discussion, whether it's about the music itself or the issues it raises within the music. And I think Stop did that excellently, which is probably a big reason why I like it so much already out the gate. And I just, we're at the last one for this part. I did not realize we were at equal sign already. And I should have said this in the intro, but I'm doing this in parts because it's just usually a lot easier in terms of uploading and making sure videos don't get blocked and all of that, to do it in parts. So equal sign is going to be the end of part one. Are we going to talk about equality? Is that where we're going? I mean, given the other discussions, it wouldn't really surprise me. But let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's get into it. 3, 2, 1. Okay, that was intense. This man is, again, he's being very intense in this album, even though it's actually quite an endearing album so far. But okay, I'm more prepared now. I don't know about this already. They shouldn't be, right? I think that's the idea. There should be equality, but there isn't. I think in a lot of ways there isn't. For a lot of different people there isn't, but we should be equal. Oh, I think this is a more light-hearted instrumental than we've gotten so far. I'm game. Hey. I will say also, this is another continuation from the beginning. He very much does put onus on the individual in his music. I think that's been a big discussion, and I think that started with that line in Pandora's Box that I enjoyed so much now. And it's interesting seeing how he's carried that through in the other songs so far, where he said, you know, we all have a little superhero in us. And I think he's been saying very clearly that it's a big part of the change we want to see has to be done by us. We can't just wait around and, you know, hope it happens, right? But I think, again, there's this argument. It's been a long-standing one, where it's like, okay, but how much can the individual realistically accomplish? And that's not to say you shouldn't try, but there's only so much you as a single person can try to do. That's the other thing, is like try to do. I'm not gonna single-handedly stop racism, right? That's it's not gonna happen. Like let's just be serious. It's not gonna happen, right? But that doesn't mean I shouldn't attempt to at least combat it in ways I can realistically do. But again, it's always like, but you're up against these like structures, these bigger than you forces, and it almost feels like what's the point, you know? It can feel like that. I'm personally someone who does try my best where I can, but it can be hard, and I do have those thoughts myself sometimes. I'm like, why even try? Like genuinely, why even try? What can I realistically do as one person? But anyways,
우린 아직 세상에 무슨 말 관심이 필요해 우리에게 맨날 시작은 곳이게 어쩌면 우리가 멋지게 목시계 외쳐도 소리 없는 하우스 이고를 느끼는 다른
no.
정당에 올라
Ooh, that flow. Okay, so you better go.
필요해 우리에게 맨날 시작은 곳이게 어쩌면 우리가 멋지게 목시계 외쳐도 소리 없는 하우스 이고를 느끼는 다른 정당에 올라서 뭉치고 가슴 치며 가도 세상은 넓고 사람 마음은 다 똑같을 필요는 없어도 다른 게 왜 죄일까 나이를 넘어 성별을 넘어
Okay.
병을 넘어 어쩌면 모두의 숙제 같은 거 나부터 깨우쳐 자발하니 차인 거 편견에 피해자 하나야 그건 우린 거
Yeah, like I said, he's very much very big on ownness and personal responsibility, at least in the songs we've listened to so far. And again, I think the song is more like it should be that way, right? Like should like racism shouldn't exist. Should like misogyny shouldn't exist. Xenophobia, it shouldn't, but it does. And again, this, I don't know, I guess this album, I made a joke in Stop, but maybe I said jokingly, oh, I can put my degree to use now. But a lot of the conversations he's touching on are conversations I've engaged in specifically academia. And I'm not saying you need to be, you know, in university or be an academic or whatever to engage in these conversations. But I just think it's very interesting that a lot of the topics he's brought up throughout this album so far is shit that I've been doing for like 3 years at university. Like the history student in me could really go on a long tangent about, in my opinion, and again, it's really just that this is all my opinion at the end of the day, and you know, hopefully it's somewhat of an informed opinion, that yeah, I could go on whole tangents about why should like racism and xenophobia exist, my guy. It's a lot, it's so much, and there's 10 billion theories that exist as to why it is the way it is and how it started and all of that fun stuff. Oh, come on, main vocalist, you know. Yeah, no, but you know, a lot of people don't care to be kind. Okay, main vocalist, J-Ho. Yeah, I do think this is definitely the most chilled song we've gotten so far. Hey. That is singing in this album, okay. You know, wait, let me just make sure this is actually finished. Because I was listening to 3 or Acha by Stray Kids and I didn't finish it properly, and I was so upset with myself. Okay, I will say I do think this might be my least favorite song so far, and it's not because of the discussion. Again, I may not fully agree with J-Hope on a lot of what he discussed or has discussed so far on this album, but like, I don't know, I just think, I don't know, I just didn't find the song as, maybe interesting isn't the right word, but I'm gonna go with it because I can't think of a better one right now. I don't know, I just, even instrumentally, I didn't find it that interesting. I think the instrumental was quite cool, especially where it was just that section where it was just the music. That was pretty sick, not gonna lie. I did very much enjoy that. But yeah, it's okay. I don't dislike it, but I just think speaking comparatively, it's probably my least favorite so far out of all the songs. Again, I do like to rank songs as I go through them. I just think it's fun and it's interesting to see how my rankings change as I listen to albums. So I'm gonna say right now it's Stop, Pandora's Box, um, Arson. I don't think the intro counts. More, and then it's equal sign. I think that's what the ranking is looking like right now. And I think I got a lot of my thoughts out of the way similarly to Stop while I was listening to the song, right? I think this it would be nice if the world was equal. And again, I think, it's we are mostly we're all people, we're all humans at the end of the day, and discriminating against each other for should we can't control is awful. I don't think anyone would argue with that, but it's just not the reality of the world we live in. Like, discrimination for various reasons exist. It shouldn't, and it would be nice if it didn't, but that's just not realistically the world we live in. And I don't know, again, this is maybe my cynicism coming in, but I don't know, I never really find these kinds of conversations helpful, where people are like, yeah, we shouldn't be this and this, or people shouldn't be this and this, which is, again, it's a very kind sentiment, it's a very sweet sentiment, and I don't want to take away from that. But I'm always like, but it's the world we live in. Like, it would, yes, it would be nice. It would be nice if a lot of things didn't exist or did exist, but that's just not the reality of the world we were born into, right? And again, I do like that he does talk about personal responsibility a lot in the song, because I do think to an extent, even though, again, as I said, this is a lot of discussions about what the individual can and can't realistically accomplish. There is, to some degree, personal responsibility in trying to break down these structures, trying to, if that's even realistic or possible, because that's a whole other discussion, right? But trying to minimize, at least maybe that's a better word, things like racism, again, xenophobia, sexism, misogyny, homophobia, all those different kinds of fucking awful, usually systemic and systematic structures that exist in a lot of places in the world, right? It's hard, and it's, how do you try and tackle something that's evolving as years go by and as eras change, that's existed for centuries? How do you even try and start tackling that, right? So it's a lot to it's a huge undertaking, especially for the individual. But yeah, I will say again that this was probably my favorite song. I don't know, again, I think I just didn't find it as interesting as the others that we've touched on so far. So still a good song, still enjoyed it, but it's probably my least favorite right now from the album. And this has been part one. I maybe I shouldn't come in with expectations, but I have been enjoying the conversations that he's inspired in this album so far, and I'm very interested to see how the second half of it will continue on. But this has been my reaction to Jack in the Box, at least part one, and I'll see you in the next one.